Welcome back to Flashpoint. The 40% increase in North Carolina's Hispanic population is creating new needs and new opportunities. Joining us now is Stefanía Arteaga. She's the co-executive director of the Carolina Migrant Network. Stefanía, your organization works to provide legal services at free or no cost to what is a growing migrant population here in Charlotte. And it is a population that is often voiceless, and that is where your group comes in.
That is right. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Tell us more about what your group and what you do.
Thank you. Well, we are the Carolinas, so both North and South Carolina's only legal nonprofit that provides legal representation to people who are in deportation proceedings in this area. And we've been around since 2020, actually. So right at the beginning of the pandemic, we launched right before it started, actually. And we've been providing this service ever since, making sure that people who are in this community are able to receive the legal assistance that they otherwise would not be able to afford.
And why is it important that your group sort of exists right now? Why is it so difficult for folks to get those resources that they really need?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. So since 2008, Charlotte has had an immigration court. It's a regional court that covers both North and South Carolina. And since then, we have not had any sort of nonprofit that provides resources for individuals who are in deportation proceedings. And what's really interesting about the court system here is that the immigration court system is that you may be in deportation proceedings, but you're not entitled to an attorney as you would be in criminal court, for example. It's very close to tax court, to give folks an idea. And so we have seen over the past 20 years almost really low levels of approvals for cases, close to 90% denials. And even though, our state ranks 10th for people facing removal proceedings, it ranks absolutely last for legal representation.
And what would happen to these folks if there wasn't a group like yours representing them?
Absolutely. So we provide significant assistance to individuals. And one of the things that we're trying to combat is ensuring that people have representation. Right now, people who are in removal proceedings in Charlotte are less likely to win a case. And some of these cases can range into $50,000, $30,000 ranges. And so far with the clientele that we've had since 2020, we've been able to save people over $5 million in otherwise legal services that they would have to pay for.
This past 2 years, this community has been hit disproportionately, we should say, by the pandemic, public health crisis, the ongoing economic issues. What challenge does that pose for your work?
Absolutely. A lot of the individuals that we're seeing who are in removal proceedings often have the primary breadwinner who is in deportation proceedings. This is a huge economic impact for families and where there's various generations living in one household and depend on this income. And so we see our jobs as an opportunity to alleviate an individual's legal situation and provide, if possible, a pathway to some sort of legal status.
Just this week, a federal appeals court temporarily allowing some undocumented immigrants to stay in the U.S. The court granted temporary extension to allow current DACA recipients to continue work and studying in the U.S. What does this mean for the thousands of immigrants here in North Carolina and really across the country?
Absolutely. So DACA folks are individuals who have been in community for quite some time. They're parents now, teachers, people in the workforce. It's an opportunity for individuals to continue to thrive in our community and provide the much needed services that they have been doing so.
And this ruling as of this past week, does that give you some optimism or have you learned not to be optimistic about these things?
I think we have learned to be a little bit cautious of our federal courts as the years have come through, especially when it comes to lawsuits related to immigration cases. But I think it's an opportunity for folks to try to create plans for their families as we navigate a very complex federal court system.
Let me ask you a tough question. This broadcast happens on broadcast TV. We have all sorts of people watching this of all backgrounds, of all stripes. For the folks out there who say they're hard line when it comes to immigration and may not agree with you on many things, what would you tell them about the importance of your organization and why it's important, regardless about what you feel about immigration, that these folks get some representation in our court system?
Absolutely. So it's important to understand that everyone should be entitled to legal representation and should have a fighting chance at court. And what's so important about the community that we serve is that we have seen significant growth in the Charlotte area since the 80s and 90s due to the levels of migration we've had to this area. We have been able to contribute to the local economy, and we are a vibrant community that is at this point very well integrated in the Charlotte community. I grew up in this community. I am an immigrant from El Salvador, and I am proud to call myself a Charlottean. And just like myself, there are various other individuals who are doing what they can to make Charlotte a better place.
Like all of Charlotte is transplants anyway, so nobody can, almost anybody can claim to be a true Charlottean at this point in a city as diverse as ours. If somebody wants to help your organization, what can they do?
Absolutely. So we really encourage individuals to check us out online at carolinamigrantnetwork.com, or you can find us on social media at Carolina Migrant Network on Instagram, Twitter, and believe it or not, we're actually on TikTok now. So come and find us.
Isn't everybody? Isn't everybody? All right, Stefanía Arteaga. Stefanía, thank you for coming on. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, more Flashpoint after this.